Okay, we are back out here working on the Champ car again, and I've got a couple of things done off camera. Kind of just forgot to get it going. I had so much going on when I walked through the door. Just trying to figure out what all I was going to do and what order I was going to do it in, but let's show you what I've done so far, and then I'll kind of go over what I still have to do. So it's a little messy right now, but the cool suit is in and mounted for the most part. I still have to work on getting this corner down here mounted. Basically what I had to do was, if you see these guys right here for the battery box, those are riv nuts. And if anybody doesn't know what a riv nut is, they are God's gift to earth for guys trying to build race cars and mount things where the factory didn't intend for them to be mounted. I'll show you that in a minute, but you can see right there, there's a big gap between the cooler and the floor. So the cooler can do that number right there, and over time that will wear on it and eventually tear the mounts out of the other three sides. Now there is a rib nut there. I just have to build a little spacer and just get a bolt to it to tighten it down and basically butt it up against something that'll make it more stable. Now there will be a strap over top of it that might help, but definitely still want to add that fourth mount there to keep it from rattling itself apart. And then I did actually decide the flow rate. I checked the flow rate to our shirts and everything. I am going to go up a size in the hose, or that way the shirt's the restriction. I don't want the pump and any of the fittings to be the restriction, but you can kind of get a better look at the harness now that stuff's all out. So just redo this, epoxy sealer here and get some bigger hoses in there. So anyway, that will be really nice. That's it. And then now for the battery box, where it is. This guy here, I've got the holes marked in there, and then basically that bolt will just go right through the end of the floor and bolt the battery box down. So I can show you a rib nut here. These things are awesome. All right, so I got the battery box mounted. I got the cool suit mounted, and I have the positive and negative battery cables mounted. Now this ground needs ground down a little bit. That's our main chassis ground. And then I have these guys angled weird because you use the parking brake, it moves, and I don't want an unfused battery cable getting near this. So I will put some extra protection on this, even though it's double wall already. That thing's pretty beastly. Then it comes around. These are the orientation I want them in, so it looks a little strange right here. And then moving on, this part right here is actually twisted and raised so that it doesn't lay on this negatively grounded surface. But again, that'll get some protection as well. And then this is just our mock-up dash right now. This was the old one. So what we're gonna do is get the bracket that goes down here that's currently on the dash stand at home. We'll get that in there, and then I'll continue mounting this until we get up to the firewall where it goes through to the starter and the alternator. So we're making good progress right now. I think it is time to get started on some of the chassis wiring. Like I'm going to get started on the trunk lights, the tail lights and the brake lights that are in the trunk lid, the trunk switch to let us know that the trunk is open. That way we don't try to leave the pit with the trunk unhitched or unlatched. And then the outer brake lights and tail lights, and fuel pump 1 and fuel pump 2. So what the surge tank does is it's a secondary fuel pump or fuel tank that the main tank feeds that's constantly full. And that will keep us from going lean because I kind of attribute that to our head gasket failures last year. So we're going to work on that. But right now that wiring is just going to go back for the rest of the year. We'll get the surge tank at the end of the year. But that wiring is going to be there. It's just not going to be active. So the relay that feeds it with a high side power, basically like, 30 amps, 20 amps of power won't be there. So it'll be a deadline for now, but it'll be in there. So at this point I'm rambling. What I need to do, wire in the brake lights, tail lights, rain light, trunk light, fuel pump 1, fuel pump 2. So let's get started doing that. This has been a lot of work for what little has been done. However, right now, all of the lights on the trunk lid itself are wired up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a test. I have my 30 amp power supply down in the trunk well, and I have the ground already hooked up, and now I'm going to hook up the power. Okay, so on this test, remember, these are the only 3 lights that should be working. These outers are not hooked up yet, so we're just working on the trunk lights, and I will run through it as we go. Parking lights, looks like they work, and then we will strobe the brake lights. Looks like they work too. Good deal. Now, what we have to do is check the rain light. This is the rain light strobe. Okay, so that'll power the tail lights and the rain light.